Hey, how are you? I'm SliceofOtaku, and we need to talk about Steven Universe, particularly about the Diamond Authority. Now, the Diamonds are intended to be the end-all, be-all villains for this series. Their conflicts with the Crystal Gems date back centuries, and their reign has gone on for millennia, with them now considering themselves to be in a second era of dominance. The Diamonds are intended to be the real deal, but why aren't they? Within the story, we're constantly told of how fearsome and incredible these gems are, but why is this not evident when they're actually on screen? At this point, we need to be shown, not told. And if you don't really understand what I mean by all this, let's first talk about Yellow Diamond and her first on-screen appearance in the episode Message Received. With the beginning of the episode, Peridot gave us a bit of insight onto this, at the time, mysterious figure. Yellow Diamond was portrayed to be this level-headed, supreme decider whom Peridot and Jasper, our main threat at the time, belonged to, which in turn imposed a sort of hierarchy upon us. The Diamonds are above every gem we'll encounter in this series, making them the most dangerous threats to our cast. Now take all of this and couple it with Jasper's decision in the episode The Return to forget their current objective of checking up on the cluster to instead focus on bringing Steven to Yellow Diamond. This, ladies and gentlemen, made the mental image of Yellow Diamond all the more impactful. And when we do in fact see this character for the first time, she does elicit this sort of pressure. The way she speaks and conducts herself demands your attention, which is great, but also in the same episode where we first see her, her authority is undermined by Peridot roasting her, calling her a clod, which causes her to have this ugly face, which is, funny or whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, how can I take this character seriously after this exchange? Yellow Diamond in her first on-screen appearance is utterly disrespected, not only by Peridot, but also by us on the internet. I mean, we just roasted her for being a giraffe and this and that, and so I'm just wondering who takes Yellow Diamond seriously at this point. And initially, when the Ruby Squad came to Earth, we believed their objective was to apprehend Peridot, to make her pay for how she treated Yellow Diamond, her diamond. But no, they were just there to pick up Jasper. But anyways, Yellow Diamond turns out to be nothing like she was built up to be, which, mind you, is not an issue, it's interesting. But from there, the way she carries herself is just disgraceful. We're constantly expected to fear this figure and feel as though there is a tension in the air around her. But the execution of what was supposed to lead us to such feelings was so lackluster that it's just impossible at this point. In the episode The Trial, Yellow Diamond pretty much plays the role of the bad cop. She's supposed to be intense and we're to fear her wrath. And to tell you the truth, the first time you watch it, you might just get that feeling. But with the second or third playthrough, it becomes novelty. Instead of fearing her, she comes across as a bit of a brat. Her anger management issues favor that of a child's temper tantrum. If someone told her to sit in the corner until she's cooled off, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, she poofed 2 gems and her power is pretty cool, but it comes across as more of a display of weakness rather than power. Yellow Diamond cannot control herself, and as interesting of a character trait that may be, the way she goes about it seems childish to say the least. In the final moments of this episode, Yellow looks pretty menacing and cool with what she says.
You think you can get away, Rose? You stood your ground on that little speck called Earth, but you're on our world now.
As much as I like this scene, I can only imagine how much more impactful it could have been had this come from the Yellow Diamond we were made to expect instead. Alright, I think that's enough about Yellow Diamond. Now let's talk about Blue Diamond. We initially heard about her from Garnet in the episode The Answer. In this episode, we're made to fear her disciplinary code as she threatens to have Ruby shattered for fusing with Sapphire. And although the two escape, their fear of her remains, which I really liked. Because although it was simple, it did amplify the character of Garnet and made us fear the possibility of her having to face Blue one more time at some point. Even now, I'm curious as to what Garnet's future vision foresaw when it came to Blue Diamond discovering them, but once again, I'm tired of being told instead of shown. When we first see Blue Diamond in the flesh, she's an emotional wreck. Actually, she's an emotional wreck whenever we see her, but you know what I mean. Despite this, I do like the concept of her sorrow fueling her threat levels. She comes across as a sort of ticking time bomb waiting to explode from overwhelming sadness, but at this point, it's unclear what side will actually suffer should she explode. After the events of the trial, she has to be weary of whom she trusts and is bound to be suspicious of Yellow Diamond, whom until then, she had complete faith in. And really, even before these events, many fans felt like Blue Diamond could end up being redeemed, and regardless of whether or not that will be the case, the simple fact that this is a large spread consideration goes to show how the narrative has been set up. And so, although Blue is dangerous, she doesn't strike me as villainous at the moment, or even as a threat we'll have to particularly worry about readily affecting us. And this is unfortunate. We need antagonists. More specifically, we need good antagonists. We need characters that make us think and have us at the edge of our seats. The Diamonds are not fulfilling this properly. They're just there. We're expected to fear them, but we don't have that sort of energy being perpetuated. Early on, the concept, the revelation that rose quartz shattered Pink Diamond was immense. We couldn't even fathom how that could happen. But at this point, it's nothing. It doesn't have that same impact. It feels as though if a gem really put their mind to it, they could do the same thing. I mean, right now, there are theories consisting of Pearl taking out Pink Diamond, either our Pearl or Pink Pearl, and that just goes to show the lack of respect there is for these diamonds. And that's not a bad thing. That's not on the fault of these people with these theories or fans in general. It's just a simple fact that the diamonds don't demand respect anymore. And it's not like we don't have the time to invest in these characters, because we are 5 seasons deep at this point. And if you want an example of a cartoon that properly executes the villainous aspect of its show, then look no further than to Star versus the Forces of Evil. With 2 seasons alone, they've accomplished so much with their villains, and I'm not here to debate which show is better or which does this better or whatever, but I'm just telling you that it is possible for Steven Universe to do better in this regard. I mean, we had Topaz and Aquamarine, but they were momentary threats. Aquamarine, I made an entire video about how she's no longer in the picture, and also Topaz, I mean, midway through in the episode Stuck Together, Topaz was falling apart. She wasn't even completely loyal, so it's hard to even regard her as a villain. And so when it comes to villains, it feels as though we only have a single hope left. That final hope being White Diamond. Now, in the next video, I'm going to be laying out my expectations for this character and what she needs to do to correct all of this. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, if you haven't already, make sure to check out the video where I explain every little detail that we have regarding White Diamond and how it all sizes up with the grand scheme of things. Because knowing your stuff from there will really help you grasp the concepts of the next video. But guys, leave me all your thoughts when it comes to the threats and villains of Steven Universe, because I focused on the diamonds, but there are plenty of other characters to discuss, so let's do that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.